What is going on, Chelsea fan? In today's video, we will be diving into the formation that Chelsea utilized in the match versus Crystal Palace. I will have my phone, it'll be on the side of the screen here. We will talk about what exactly happened and why Chelsea were not able to break down Crystal Palace. So let's look at the formation that we saw with Chelsea. Now, Chelsea did go with a 4-2-3-1, very common that we've been seeing throughout this entire handful of months now with Chelsea, especially with the Club World Cup, our friendlies, and now obviously the first match in the Premier League. Now, the one big talking point obviously is that Colwell is out for 8 months roughly, so we saw Josh Achupong and Trevor Chalobah playing together as our pairing of the CB. Now, this was the first time I do believe they have played together, which made it very, very difficult for our side. But that being said, they did okay, but I would say Josh had a few bad passes that could have easily led to goals. But let's dive into the tactics. Now, Crystal Palace, you have to give them credit for how well they did in this match because, yes, they were able to be very defensive, especially playing with a back three. It looked like a 3-4-2-1 for the most part, and what we were seeing was how congested this area was, and we will dive into this in just a little bit, but this was the difficult part for Chelsea. Now, obviously, Cucurella still pushed up like he normally does, which did leave these three players in the back for the most part. But during this match, we obviously saw Reece James constantly pushing up for the most part. Even Trevor Chalobah was pushing up, and this was one of the key factors that Crystal Palace was utilizing us when they were trying to counter. Because as we kept pushing up, as you can see on the map here, how much space there is, not just on one side, but on both sides for Achupong. This made it very difficult because anytime they did get the ball, they were playing some through balls over the top, and Crystal Palace did have some opportunities to score in this match. And yes, I understand they did have the free kick. Some controversial on that. I do think it was the right call, but we won't get into that in this video. Overall, like I said, defense-wise for us defending was difficult in this match, and typically you do very well defending by attacking, but Crystal Palace, because they were sitting so far back, they made it very easy for them to absorb most of the attacks, and it was difficult to break them down. Now, that being said, though, let's talk about Chelsea's attacking wise. So in this match, Cole Palmer had a very difficult time even getting into this match for a full 90. I would say this is probably one of his worst matches we've seen, and it's not because he had a bad game, it's because what Glasner did with Crystal Palace in defensive wise, because anytime Cole Palmer was trying to do anything, there was always a player shadowing him, whether he was on the left side, right side, and even if he did drop back, there was another player always following Cole Palmer. So it was very difficult for Cole Palmer to find any pockets of space for him to receive the ball, because if he did, there was at least one or two players closing him down every time, and he could only play the ball backwards to one of the players near him. He really couldn't turn too often and drive towards goal. Yes, he did have a few opportunities, but overall, he did really struggle to get into this match, and we all know Cole Palmer is the beating heart in our midfield. If he cannot do anything in our midfield, we really struggle, and this match showed that. And this is why I do believe Xavi Simons should be coming to Chelsea. Now, I don't know if that's fully going to happen or not, but it would make more sense to bring him on. And we will talk about the right side with Esteval and how he did be a little more creative and help Cole Palmer. But that being said, like I said, Cole Palmer just really couldn't get in this game. Now, overall, though, one of the things we saw in this match, too, was that we did play a lot of the balls out to the wing because we weren't able to go down the middle of the pitch. And I do believe if you can't go down the middle, you're going to have a difficult time winning games because anytime you have to play out into the wings, most teams can close those areas down. And we even saw in this match, anytime that Neto or Gittins had the ball, they were constantly being swarmed with two players. And we didn't have any time a player was making any overlapping runs to these players. So anytime they were down in the corner, they typically had to play the ball back. Now, granted, there were a few times we did play the ball across and we did have a few opportunities, but we just couldn't convert on them. But overall, Crystal Palace, every time we attacked from the outside, they defended the wall, and we had to keep recycling the ball. And every time we recycled to the left side, to the right side, we constantly had to go backwards for the most part in this match, which again, this is what Crystal Palace wanted to do throughout this entire match. Now, obviously, we did make some changes. We did see Pedro Neto go on the left side. Esteval did come in for Jamie Gittins, and when that did happen, he was actually able to drift more into the box itself, and that actually did free up Cole Palmer in this match. Liam Delap did come in as well for João Pedro. I think he should have probably started this match. This was a match we definitely need to see a bigger, stronger forward for us to go against the defensive players here. João Pedro just really couldn't get anything going for the most part, but like I said, Esteval, when he came in, he did again be very creative. He was able to dribble down the side of the pitch, and like I said, because he was doing it, he was dragging multiple defenders with him, which then gave Cole Palmer this space, but we waited too long in this match to bring him on. He came in about the 60th minute, 65th minute. Had he have came in earlier, I think he should have started the second half. This game would have been totally different because Crystal Palace would have been chasing him for 45 minutes and been very difficult. And yes, like I said, we did have a few opportunities that we probably should have scored. Trevor Chalobah having the best opportunity did sky over the bar. It did take a weird bounce almost right in front of goal. But overall, this was the first match for Chelsea. We did look a little fatigued, so again, I'm not too surprised with all the matches we played during the summer. Didn't have a really long rest time, and like I said, we did play Crystal Palace probably at the worst time because they did have all their starting players. I do think SA will be on his way out. Mark Gay, he could also be on his way out, and like I said, they were fully rested for this match, that they were ready to take on Chelsea. Overall, a 0-0 draw is not the worst scenario that we did see for Chelsea. Obviously, we were hoping for all 3 points. First match at Stamford Bridge this season, but we will take a draw against Crystal Palace, who have been doing quite well this season. And if you want to roll them from last season, they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final. They obviously beat Liverpool in the Community Shield, and now they did a draw with Chelsea. So overall, they've been doing very well so far this season under Oliver Glasner. So that being said, I think Chelsea do play better next week against West Ham. That is a match we should be winning. West Ham did struggle this first round, and therefore, again, it's a game that Chelsea should be getting all 3 points. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.